Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. I want to take a quick second and thank all the channel members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all. And I want to thank anybody who just comes through and watches the knife, the EDC content. I hope you enjoy it, or find it informative or entertaining. If you are so inclined and you hadn't had a chance yet, if you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon, it'll really help me out. And I appreciate you. So today I was going to go through and I plan to do a full Spyderco collection dive in the future, right? I've got to find ways to break up a collection dive. But what I wanted to start out by doing was talk about, because I don't talk enough about Spyderco, Benchmade, some other companies that I have, Hinderer. You know, they're just knives that I have a lot of, that I'm really fond of, but they don't maybe get the buzz or the fanfare because they're not necessarily new designs. But Spyderco makes, in my opinion, some of the best slicing, best blade geometry, used and utilized the most variety of different steels that knife enthusiasts want to experience. Spyderco will make it. And my understanding is they heat treat as well, if not better, than anyone else. And a lot of their knives, the majority of which, well, a lot of their knives are made in the US, like this little guy here. This is the Lil Native. This is not going to make the top 5, but for a 5th pocket knife, because again, I didn't mention this, but these top 5 Spyderco knives are what I would consider primary carry knives. Knives that could be my only pocket knife, which this knife absolutely could be, but I think of it more as a 5th pocket carry, as a small pocket knife. That doesn't take anything away from its ability to cut like no other. This one's breast cancer exclusive in S45VN. A very cool little knife, but unfortunately, like I said, it's not going to make our top 5. But we're going to start out with number 5, which is ironically a non-American made Spyderco. This is a Chung, Taiwan, and this is part of the Sage series, and this is the Sage 5. I picked this knife up for a couple of different reasons, one of which is a percentage of the proceeds of the Sage 5 go to Alzheimer's research, and it's something that affects my family. So I like the look of the knife. I like Chung, Taiwan Spydercos, and the size and everything about this little knife appealed to me. It's a simple steel, S30V. It's dirty because it's been used. It hasn't had any mods on it. One of the things I hate about the Chung, I don't hate, but I dislike, and I mod quite often, are the scales. And I have not come across a good set of Sage 5 scales when I was in the position to buy them, and don't even really know where to look for them. At some point, I probably will do a scale swap on this, because I would say this is a forever knife, even though it's number 5 on this list. This Spyderco Sage 5 uses a compression lock. The Sage series is unique in that Spyderco did the Sage series to kind of focus one of each of the Sage 1, Sage 2, Sage 3, etc. to focus on one of their lock types, right? Kind of like as a testimony to their different locking mechanisms. And the compression lock has probably always been my favorite Spyderco lock, the one I'm most familiar with. And this little knife is light. It had a wire clip, which I like, but I switched it out for a lynch clip early on. And it's a great knife to carry. It's a great EDC blade. It's a great medium size, I'd say maybe small to medium, but a good medium size EDC knife. A great office knife. Has fantastic detent. I love the blade shape. All these leaf style blades, or most of them are leaf style blades, just do so well. So coming in at number 5, we have got the Sage 5 from Taichung, Taiwan. Coming in at number 4 is the first knife I learned to reverse finger flick, and a fantastic knife. Guys, as we go through these knives, all 5 of these, including the Lil Native, which was our number 6 honorable mention, are great knives. This is my Spyderco Shaman. And this was a Cutlery Shop exclusive Shaman that came with orange scales, G10 scales, and it's in the CTS XHP blade steel. Happens to be a blade steel I really like. I put on these sharp dressed scales. I think I had a set of micarta scales before these, just because I mod most of my Spydercos. But I really like these scales. They're contoured here on the, or chamfered I guess is a better word, on the side, so they're very soft in the hand. The Shaman's probably my largest Spyderco. Has very aggressive but comfortable jimping here on the spine and also here in the choil. And one thing besides the fact that they all slice very well, Spydercos just seem to be designed for my hand. I mean, they just fit very well. This is a full-size knife. I would call it a large, medium, large size knife. It's got the thickest blade stock of any of my Spydercos, but as you guys just saw, it slices very, very well. Has great blade geometry. I love the CTS HXP, and I love the fat carbon fiber scales, or the camo carbon fiber scales. I did put a lynch clip on it, so it's got a deep carry clip, and it's just a winner, guys. Coming in at number 4, we've got our Spyderco Shaman, which brings us to number 3, which is another Chung Taiwan knife, and it's not a leaf blade shape. It is the Spyderco Smock. This is probably one of my first grail knives when I first started collecting. I love this knife. I wanted to chase it. I thought it was great. For the longest time I didn't mod it. I'd put my micarta scales on it down the road. I have some G10 Smok scales from the designer Smok himself. But then I found these Raylite titanium scales that were very economical, and this backspacer, and it has not changed since. This knife does come with 2 detents. I did take out the secondary detent. It's something I just didn't really feel like I needed, but I love this sexy grind. You've got this hollow grind that really sets off and kind of swells towards the tip, or gets a little larger towards the tip, and you've got a very sharp tip. So it might not have a leaf blade, but it's got a splinter digger tip, and it is a slicey beast. This is not a finger choil, but I put my finger there. It's a sharpening choil. Super well done sharpening choil, and it's actually part of the way that this locking mechanism comes into play here. And what we have is not a button lock. This is, for lack of a better term, this is kind of like a reverse compression lock. So what you've got is you've got the liner, or the compression lock, on the other side, on this side, and instead of having it right here, you've got it right here. But instead of having to use your finger, you've got this little button, or this little pole, that pushes through to that lock. You'll see when I do that the blade just swings freely. If I had the secondary detent in there, it wouldn't swing as freely, but if you see, when I push the button, that little knob moves, that little bar moves, and you've got a great little deploying knife. This is very fidgety. It's very angular in that it's kind of like a rectangle. To me, the ergonomics feel great because they're so neutral. I love this knife. I love the design. I love the locking mechanism. I love the action. It could probably be higher than number 3, but I'm looking at the ones that I carry and why. And this is definitely my number 3 Spyderco, and it is the Chung Taiwan Spyderco Smock, again with a lynch clip because it's a deep carry clip. Which brings us to number 2. So yeah, guys, this is number 2, and I struggled with this and number 1, but I had to think about what knife Anyway, I'll get to it. But this is my Manix II. This is a perfect, could be number one, could easily share the spot of number one, but this is the Knife Center exclusive that was all black with black G10 handles and CPM crew wear. I picked up these rock scale designs, titanium scales, for two reasons. One, I liked them and I wanted to update it to give it tie scales. But two, because these scales are linerless. They allowed me to remove those steel liners that had that extra jimping. That is great if you're going to be wearing gloves or hard using the knife. But most of my tasks are urban. They're in the city. They're EDC type stuff where I might break down a ton of cardboard or cut down bushes, but I'm not going to need something where I need jimping all over the knife. So this is one of my sliciest Spydercos. It fits my hand perfect. It is every bit a full-sized knife. It is pokey. It has got a very agile blade. Got a fantastic edge. I love crew wear. It's got the treated blade. It does use this ball lock, which is mechanically similar to an axis lock with this little bar. You just pull it back from this unidirectional, this unispring that pulls back and pulls a little ball bearing out of the tang, right? Where was it? Yeah, right here is where that little ball falls in. So if you can see, reach back in my pocket, where an axis lock would go through, you've got this little area right here that when the knife opens, this little ball that's now held back, let's see if you'll see this, comes around, and then right here is before it's getting ready to slap in, and when it gets to that space, this locking mechanism, that spring, forces it forward and locks this whole titanium mechanism into that tang in the blade. So very, very strong locking system, but very easy to manipulate with one hand. This has an MX gear clip on it, I believe, not a Lynch clip, but I love this knife. It's deep carry, Spyderco Manix II, in crew wear, Knife Center exclusive with rock scale design scales. Just an absolute banger. Coming in at number 2, which brings us to number 1. And number 1, guys, yes, it's the boring, talked about Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This is my first Paramilitary 2. This one's an S110. This was the blurple version, the purple scales, G10. And I put these scales on it. This knife is not only a size comparison knife for me, it is a work beast. This S110V has never been sharpened, so I've never even had to sharpen this one. But it is the original Para 2, and I say original, the original blade style, because this knife fits my hand so well, and most people would think, because I'm a smaller guy, that the Para 3 would actually be a better fit for me. But for some reason, it's just not. I don't know if it's because I got this knife early in my collecting and just got really used to it because I carried it so much, but I had a Para 3 and got rid of it. This one I picked up from Keith the Knife Freak about a year, 8 months after I picked up this one because I loved it. I love the Tanto blade. I love the way they look. This one's an S30V. It's just a regular Spyderco Tanto. It's got these nice Putman scales on it with this lanyard blocker and this copper/bronze hardware. So again, both of these knives have been modded, but compression lock, Lynch deep carry, short clip, just an absolute banger. A Para 2 Tanto. And then lastly, I had the blessing in 2022 of bumping in and breaking bread with Justin OCD for EDC and a bunch of other classic people. and we were talking knives, and I let him take one of my knives that Shane had brought me back, Shane, to check it out after Blade Show, and he really liked it, and we started talking about things that we could trade for, and I threw some cash and that knife at him because he was willing to let this go. This is his, if I'm not mistaken, I know it's his member knife, his Spyderco Club knife, but I think this is the Cutlery Shop Warncliffe CTS 8XHP. This is the sliciest of them, and it is my favorite of them. It is wearing rock scale designs, titanium scales, just in natural titanium. The action on this is absolutely beautiful. The detent is dialed. Compression lock. All of these are perfectly centered. They're all para 2s, so they're really all the same knife in terms of my number one Spyderco. They just all happen to have different blade shapes. Because, guys, I love it. I mean, I don't talk, again, as much about Spyderco, and this has the Lynch clip on it, on my daily videos, because I'm trying out new stuff. I'm buying new stuff. You know, I've got so much good stuff where I don't need to buy any more stuff. And that's what I share with all you younger collectors. Collecting is fun, but it's kind of like a disease too. I mean, if you get a couple of good knives that suit your needs, these knives could get me through almost anything. I could literally live with 3 knives. I'd hate to do it. I could live with less than that. But this is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. It is my number one Spyderco in my collection. Followed very closely by number 4, or number 2, which is our Spyderco Manx II. And then we had at number 3, our Chung, Taiwan, Spyderco Smock, fantastic knife. Our first knife Javon learned to finger flick from playing with it and watching Bearded Gear. Shout out to him's video. My Spyderco Shaman. And then we've got our Sage 5. We've got our Joe Isabella Be Up trinket art. And then our honorable mention was our American-made Lil Native. So guys, that's my top 5 Spydercos. What are yours? What do you guys like? There's some good ones. I had to look through mine. It wasn't that hard to pick them out, but I've got some others. And I will do a full Spyderco video. But I just want to thank you guys for coming through, for checking out the video. I hope you found it interesting, entertaining, informative. Something good came out of it for you. But I love each and every one of you, and I'm glad you're here. Ask one last time if you hadn't yet. Please hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, please look out for that guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. Choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.